First question, can you please state your name and your occupation?
I am Dane Sorensen, and I'm a statistician.
Perfect. How long have you been a statistician?
Approximately 12 years.
Okay, and how much education does your profession require?
Typically, it's at least a master's degree, mainly because there's so few bachelor degrees in statistics available.
Great. What drew your interest into the field?
So I grew up, I always loved sports growing up. I really loved the statistics that went along with sports, but I didn't really know there was much about statistics and statisticians growing up. So I thought I wanted to be an accountant. And then I took a course at BYU that you have to take to get into the accounting program, and it was a stats class. And I realized I enjoyed that class a lot more than I enjoyed the accounting class. So I decided to go and pursue that stats topic.
Perfect. Great story. Thank you. Now, can you tell me a rewarding story from your work experience?
Yeah. So I don't know, a while ago, years ago, at work, I work at a bank, and we were looking at how we could help our members. We serve the military community, and we wanted to know how we could help those who are on active duty be able to pay down their home equity loans that they had for their homes. And so I was able to do some research and crunch some numbers, and we were able to come up with a population of active duty military members that we were able to give them a particular offer and allow them to make payments. If they made their payments for a year, that we would match those payments for that year. So their how much they owed would decrease by whatever they paid that year. And so we were able to give back to that military community based on the analytics that I was able to provide.
Very nice. Thank you for sharing. How were you first introduced to the field you work in?
So I really got introduced in college taking that course I mentioned earlier, a basic stats class. And then as I got curious about that, really talking and learning from the professors and kind of understanding more what they did and seeing some of the things that they were researching and doing, and really kind of sparked my interest from there.
Great. How would your children or a child describe your job?
So my kids, they pretty much just say, I work with numbers. I said, Dad just works with numbers. So,
Great, nice and simple.
yeah.
Perfect. Please share an analogy of your job to something. So, a way to relate your job to an activity anybody can relate to.
Okay. So I was thinking about this, and if you look at like growing an apple orchard, all right, you got the farmer that's going to plant the field. You got the people that, the horticulturists that really knows how to take care of the trees and help them grow. You got the people who are going to pick the apples. Well, the statistician is the one that comes in and says, okay, I can estimate how many trees you're going to need to get the money you need. I'm going to estimate how much you're going to have to charge for those to get the money you need. And I'm going to tell you what your yield's going to be. How many apples are you actually going to be able to expect each year from each tree? So really kind of doing all the numbers behind anything will help that farmer, the owner of the orchard, maximize whatever their goal is.
Great, thank you. That was perfect. What attributes do the people you work with have?
They're very analytical. Um, they're people who really kind of look at problems and say, okay, what information do I have to solve that problem? And then given that information, how can I then solve that problem? And so they look at things and try to look at things in very different ways around the problem based on the data.
Great. And for your job, do you work more individually or with a group of peers?
It's a combination of both. Kind of depends on the project. There may be projects where it's very individual, where it's just like, here you go, take it and come back when you're done. And then there's others that are bigger problems that we have to work collaboratively and really kind of put our heads together to figure things out.
Great. So, what people skills are needed for your occupation?
You need to be able to understand and listen really well. That's a big one because usually people are coming to a statistician with a question, and you have to be able to translate and help them ask the right question. Because just because you have a question doesn't mean it's the right one that data can answer. So you need to be able to help them understand what that question really should be, to get the answer they're looking for, and then be able to communicate well. Be able to communicate your findings because most people, when they hear statistics, they just go blank. There's eyes glaze over and they're like, I have no idea what you just said. So you have to be able to bring technical things down to a simple manner so that
Hmm.
anybody can understand it.
Great, great. How does your job affect your family?
It's actually been really good for my family um, because I'm able to go to work and then I can be home and I'm home. There's not emergencies that pop up in the middle because usually when things we're working on or problems are going to take time and it's not, hey, I need this tomorrow or I need this today or something went wrong here. So it's usually pretty mellow. So it doesn't impact the family a whole lot, which is nice.
That is nice. What is a list of your likes about your job and your dislikes?
I love playing around with the numbers, figuring out what's the best way to analyze something to give the information that's needed to answer a question. Sometimes, especially being in the banking industry, the hardest part is you have to document every step of the way. So you have to end up with, 1 to 200 pages of documentation you've had to put together so that you can show regulators when they come in and say, okay, we want to see all the documentation on this model that you've created to get this solution. So that's the part I don't like is having to document everything in minute details.
Okay, nice. Okay. Now can you explain your work environment and just a normal day in your job?
So normal days probably spent, I don't know, probably about half the time in meetings where we're talking about the problems, coordinating, deciding who's going to do what. The other half is in doing the problem. So saying, okay, I've got this problem. It's taking the data that somebody else has provided or that I can get somewhere else and really playing with it and problem solving and saying, okay, how can I get this to tell or to answer the question, right? So there's a lot of data manipulation and work and modeling and run things through the programs, seeing if the outcome is what I expected or not. If not, troubleshooting. And then there's probably a little bit that's spent in putting together the final presentations, saying, okay, now I have to explain this to somebody who doesn't understand statistics at all. Let me put that story together so they understand it.
Good answer. Thank you. What is your everyday work attire?
Well, anymore, it's pretty casual. Business casual is what it was before we hit COVID, but now it's what I have on right now, just a t-shirt and shorts or whatever. I could
Great.
even wear shorts back in the day too, so it's not too
Sounds
different.
very nice.
Yeah,
Perfect. Um, what are the opportunities for career advancement in your job?
really, it's kind of wherever you want to go. Some people just want to do the dirty work, love being the statistician, getting in, getting your hands dirty with the data, and that's where they want to be. And so they're able to do that, and they just stick with that. You can go all the way up to executive management, and be that statistician, that expert up there in that field, and dealing with data. So there's a wide variety, and I'd say probably one of the beauties of statisticians is you can go work in any industry. Any industry needs somebody to crunch the numbers. Um, a lot of popular titles today are data scientists. So statisticians and data scientists are pretty, not perfectly synonymous, but pretty close. And so there's a lot of opportunities in any field.
Great. What a great benefit. Okay, just one more question for you. Um, Considering young people who are wanting to pursue your career, what advice would you give them?
Oh, what advice? I would probably just, if they want to pursue it, enjoy it. As you're learning about it, really ask questions and understand why things are the way they are, because it'll help you appreciate it when you're out and actually doing it and working on it. It'll help you in your explanations to others as well. You know, I practice with my kids. Sometimes I'll tell them, I'll say, okay, I'll explain to them what I'm planning on it. If they get it, I know I'm good.
Great. That's a great practice. All right. That is the end of our interviews.